And in Arabian society, it's very, very important, it was important in those days to have a son. In fact, they used to mock the Prophet Muhammad because he didn't have a son. He had daughters, but all his baby boys died. And it was a source of mockery of the Prophet from the pagan Arabs. Actually, what happened was, after these 17 years, he had a son. There was a son from one of his wives, Miriam. She gave birth to a son. His name was Ibrahim. And when Ibrahim was 6 months old, a little baby, he died. Actually, he died in the arms. The Prophet was holding him as he died. So this child died in his arms. And even the Prophet was crying. And they used to think that, you shouldn't cry when someone dies. And, they said, oh, Messenger of God, you told us not to do this. He said, no, this crying is from compassion. It's not from disbelief in God or questioning God. It's just from compassion for that child. That's allowed. Anyway, it's not the point. The point is that on the same day that his son died, there was an eclipse of the sun. So his son dies. On the same day that his son dies, there is an eclipse of the sun. Now even today I've told some people that, and I didn't even finish my story, and they said, that's amazing, he must have been a prophet. Right? And sure enough, by the way, at that time people came running out. They said, look, even the sun darkens for the death of the child of the Messenger of God. This is what the people were saying. Now imagine this, please think about it. If you're a liar, you've been inventing all these years, trying to persuade people you're a prophet and this and that, here's your chance. I mean, okay, your son's died, but still. After all of this, you'd say, you see, I told you, everyone. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Look at that. What more do you want? True or not? Wouldn't a con man, a liar, wouldn't he take an opportunity like that? No doubt. And imagine if you were deluded, just a madman, you're just thinking and imagining the same thing. You'd say, yes, it's a sign from God. You see, I told you, I'm a prophet. God's sign. But actually, the Prophet Muhammad did not do that at all. In fact, when he heard the people, he called them. He called them, the big announcement. You know what he said? He said, this is the sun and this is the moon. And they are just two of the creations of God. And they don't eclipse for the birth or the death of any man. So when you see this, pray to your Lord. And then he taught them a special prayer to make when there is an eclipse. Is this how a liar would behave? Is this how a deluded person will behave? Or is this the words of a truthful man?
Now you have a third alternative, of course, which people tell you all the time. You say, no, he was not a liar. He was not a crazy man. He was deceived by the devil. Deceived by the devil. It's an interesting idea, but whatever you say, you better be ready to back it up. There's a lot of difficulties with that idea. For example, there is a verse in the Quran which tells the reader about a good habit to develop. It tells him, before you read this book, always say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, which means, I take refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Is this Satan who wrote this? Who said, before you read my book, ask God to save you from me? Is that Satan who wrote that? As Jesus said, if Satan is divided against himself, then his kingdom will fall. He's fighting against his own interests.